Hi everyone, it's Jen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a tutorial on how to do paper piecing with your stamped images, and this was a request and I'm happy to show you how I do my paper piecing. I'm not an expert, and I'm sure there are lots of other videos of different paper crafters who do paper piecing, but this will be my technique, and I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please let me know. First, I'll start out with some examples of projects that I have shown on my channel. This was a recent project. This was a stamp designed by Sam Poole for Creative Expressions, and this is the stamp in the package. It looks like that. It's just a one piece, but what you do to get all the different kinds of papers is you stamp the image onto separate designer papers, and then you cut them apart depending on what part you want to be whatever pattern. So I'll show you how to do that. But this one was stamped on tan paper, on this green and white gingham, on the polka dot, and on the holly pattern on the leaves. So there's that one. And then this one I did a little paper piecing as well for the gingerbread man. This stamp also came from Sam Poole from Creative Expressions, and it's a stamp right here. It's all one piece, but I did paper piece it for the candy cane outfit, and also this bow was stamped onto a burgundy paper that had polka dots. So it's definitely a good technique to use with the stamp that has a big surface area like this that you might not want to color. I mean, you can, of course, but for me to fill in all that space with coloring, I don't feel confident in doing that, and I'd rather have a cute pattern paper for the outfit for something like this. And yeah, it's really fun to do. You'll see. All right, so there's that. And then this one also came from this stamp set as well. I stamped the girl gingerbread person or gingerbread girl and the rolling pin. I paper pieced the apron and the rolling pin itself. And you just cut them out and glue them on top of each other. All right, so there's that one. And then the last one I wanted to show you that I did is this card. And this is a mug with a little gingerbread man who have both been paper pieced. They come from this stamp set, also by Sam Poole. Hi Sam, if you're watching, I love these stamps. They're awesome. Perfect for paper piecing because there's a lot of area that can be filled beautifully with some pattern paper, like the outfit on the little gingerbread man and the striped paper on the mug. So yeah, let's get started. I'll tell you, or I'll tell you a few things that you'll need. Of course, the most important thing is scissors, because when you're doing paper piecing, you need to cut out all the individual parts, and you want some good fine detailing scissors. These are what I use. They're cutter bee scissors. Most craft stores will have this, or you can order it online. I actually got mine from either Amazon or Zulily. I think it was, yeah, I don't know. So this is my second pair of them. My first one I had bent. I'd used them so much. So you want a nice sharp precision tip on your scissors, and you want them to be a not too long of a length so that you can control them. And this is a great length for fussy cutting. The blade length is, well, let's see, from the handle to the tip is about 2.5 inches long. So for me, I find that to be perfect. I'm left-handed, and these work well for me. They're lefty and righty, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, something else you're going to need is a stamp, of course, and this is one also in that same new release from Sam Poole. This is one that I just got recently from Frantic Stamper. Scrapbook.com was sold out. If Frantic Stamper has them still, I will link it down below. But this is the one that's called Snowman Kisses, and that's the number. So I saw Tina, who is Crafty Bean. Hi Tina, if you're watching. She had hauled this one, so yeah, I had to pick it up after I got the other ones because that snowman is so cute. And I thought this would be perfect to paper piece. Using the snowman as one paper, I thought the scarf would be another paper, and the mittens I wanted to make the same paper as the scarf, and the heart could be a different paper as well. And you could do whatever you want with these. You could paper piece or just color in with markers. So this is a stamp that we are going to use. in this example. You're going to need pattern papers, of course, depending on, you know, what color scheme you're going to use, and yeah, some other things as we go along. So I'll show you there. But generally, you need your scissors and a stamp. Okay, so I stamped my images already just to save some time, and I use my stamping platform. I've got this on Amazon. It's Stamping Pro by Sunlit. Works great. Again, I'll link it down below if I can still find it. I've had it for a little while, but I think it's still there. All right, so I did, like I said, I stamped my image out already, and I'm using this paper collection by Maha Design. It's called Traditional Christmas. I also purchased this on Frantic Stamper, and there are lots of nice small prints in this paper pack, which is great when you're doing paper piecing so that you could see, you know, a good amount of the print in each of your features. So that's what I'm using. Okay, let me show you what I stamped out so far. I stamped out the snowman on this page because I'm not into gnomes, so I figured I would not use this whole page as it was, but I do like the creaminess, and it's got a little bit of distressing in there as well, so I want that to be the base color of my snowman. So I stamped it out of that. And then I also stamped the scarf in a plaid pattern. And when you're doing paper piecing, you don't have to stamp out the whole image. I just put some ink on this part of the stamp and then just used a scrap of paper because I'm just going to be cutting this out anyway. I didn't need the rest of the snowman stamped out onto this paper. That way it saves your paper. So I'm going to be cutting this out, the scarf. I also did the mittens because I did want that to be coordinating. So I actually could have done this on one. I should have probably just done this in one image, but you know, I just used another scrap to cut out the mittens. And for the heart, I'm using this burgundy paper with the polka dots, so we're going to do some paper piecing with that. Again, I just used a scrap of this paper so I wouldn't waste paper. And I also did the little star in the corner of the snowman, which is right there, because I thought that would be a cute addition. For the button here, I'm just going to color that in with the alcohol marker. I'm not going to do another paper piece on that. So there's that. So let's go ahead and do some fussy cutting, and then maybe we'll make a card with this when it's all done, just so I could show you my technique. Also, if you want to do some inking on the edges, you can do that. It's up to you, either before or after you cut them out. So I'm going to use some Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo. I like to use this especially on prim country projects. I think it's a really nice finish. The good thing about adding this before you cut your image is you have more room to just kind of to do your swirls. But the good thing about doing it after you cut your image is you can ink the cut line of your image, so you won't see a white core of the paper. So it's really up to you. You could do it any way you want. I think for this example, I'm going to cut them out first and then do my inking. But like I said, you could do it any way you want. All right, so let me get started on showing you how I do my cutting, and then I will come back once it's all cut out. Okay, so I'm lefty, like I said. So what you want to do is cut into the paper until you get to your image, okay? And then these stamps have a really nice thick line when you stamp them out. I used Memento Tuxedo Black. So you don't want to cut like that. You want to cut right when it gets into the black, okay? So just like this. And when you come around a curve, you don't move your scissors if you can help it, you move the paper. And that makes a much smoother cut. So let me just show you. Going around and moving the paper. Of course, it was stuck on my scissors there. But then I go and do a complete cut all the way to the end of the tip. So it looks like that. All right, let me cut this part off. And that I could save, that cute little holly thing. I'll keep that in my scraps. Okay, so here we go again, and we're going up to a curve. So get your scissors in there all the way in and start your cut Okay, and then we're getting to, let me move this closer. You're getting to the curve, so turn the paper and your scissors stay where they are, just turning the paper, and you have a nice smooth cut like that. See how nice that is? All right, and then keep going. And you know, if there's like parts you missed, like see right there, there's just a little part, I'll go in and trim that off later. And then we're gonna cut right into the corner, or right into where the line stops. And what I like to do is, since these scissors cut all the way to the tip, I like to line my tip up with the end of where I'm gonna be cutting. Just move your hand back until it gets to the tip, until the tip meets the end. So that's what I'm going to do, and then just keep pressing until I get to the tip like that. So now I have that cut all the way into the corner. And since I did that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this part away. So it's easier to work with if you have that big space there. See, you can see how that's coming along, right? Hi Gus, there's Gus. All right, so I'm also going to cut this part off here, so it'll be easier to do my cuts. The less paper you have on the outside of your image, the easier it is. Okay, so there we go. We've got just the snowman on the page now. All right, so I'm going to go along this side too. And some people like to, you know, cut on this side of the image. Some people like to cut on this side. Whatever is easier for you. I just want a good grip on my paper, and I could cut this way too. So I'm turning my paper, staying within, just on the inside of that black line when I'm cutting. And then my tip is right where the line ends. So I cut there. And then I like to go in, like I said, from the other direction and just cut that part off like that. So it's basically, you just keep going around and chipping away at the unneeded space as you go. All right, so like if you get to this part here in the corner, it's kind of hard to start it off because your scissors are kind of wedged in there. So sometimes I'll go ahead and cut away some more of that negative space. And that way I have more room here for my hand and for the scissors, so it's a little bit easier. And then go ahead, remember, turn your paper, not your scissors, and then line up the tip for where the cut's gonna end and just cut it like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and trim off some of this negative space. Might as well cut on that black line right there, and there we go. So for the snowman itself, for the base, we're going to cut the whole thing out, and then the other parts we're going to cut out individually and glue them on top. So I'll probably speed this up here so you can watch me finish, and then we'll move on to the other parts. Okay, so here at the end, you can see I have this part that I have to cut away, but it's kind of difficult to get in there with all these other things here. So I'm just gonna kind of, like I said, kind of chip away at it, come in from the negative space, and then just come back, cut around, and there we go. So that is fussy cutting, and fussy cutting is what you need to do when you do some paper piecing. I was never a big fan of fussy cutting, but I really don't mind it when I'm doing paper piecing projects, especially when it's a nice stamp like this that has, you know, really nice thick lines, so it's hard to mess up. So I definitely recommend stamps like this that don't have a lot of different intricate cuts when you're doing some paper piecing. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go clean up a couple little parts that I need to fix. But yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Okay, so that's our base. I don't know if you hear Gus, but he's meowing over there. And then we'll find our other pieces that we're gonna fussy cut to go in there. All right, so for the heart, let's see the heart. Okay, so we're just gonna cut out the heart. The mittens are gonna be fussy cut out of other paper, so we don't have to worry about them. We just really have to get the heart cut out. So again, I'm gonna go in from the edge of the paper. Then when I get to the black line, follow it closely. I'm gonna go right over those mittens because we don't need those in our, this part of the paper piecing. Okay, and then we got to a curve. If you want to know what Gus is meowing at, he wants to go into the unfinished part of the basement, which there's a door in my craft room. Oh, sorry, bumped my tripod. That is closed, and there's really no need for him to go in there, but he just wants to go in there. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. Gus, just chill out, okay? All right. So then we'll go the other side. Turn your paper. Get some of those pointy corners off. And see, like this, there's some like pointy corners there. Oh, sorry. And then, oh, I'll show you a little trick too. If you made a mistake and you cut maybe the black part off a little bit too much, hold on one second. Let me let Gus out of my crafter. All right, Gus has been let out. So anyway, like I was saying, if you have part of your image that maybe you cut a little bit of the line off too much, go ahead and get your like a black fine liner pen. This is a micron pen with archival ink. I love this pen. You could go ahead and take that and just add a little bit of a black line to the edge. No one will know if you have to fudge it a little bit. You don't even need to do that really, unless you know, if you made, okay, like this part here, oh, it doesn't matter because the mittens will be there. But yeah, you can always use one of these to just add a little bit more black. No problem. All right, let's do some more fussy cutting. So, you know, you don't need to watch me do all this fussy cutting, but I do want to give you an idea of how to do it and the technique that I use just to, you know, make this video a complete tutorial. So here I am going in to cut out the scarf and just, again, turn the paper, follow the black line. If it's a small turn, then I do turn my scissors like that. But I'm turning the page mostly. Okay, so getting to the end here, so I move my hand back so my cut will end where the line ends. I'm gonna go ahead and I hope you could see this. I'm trying to hold it as close as I can, but I have to be able to see what I'm doing also. So I'm not really looking through the camera, I'm looking around it, so but hopefully you can kind of tell what I'm doing here. All right, so I'm gonna cut poor little snowman's face off because we don't need a plaid face on our snowman, not on this one anyway. So I'm gonna cut that negative space off. And this is not taking long at all. So if you think you don't like fussy cutting like me, but you want to do paper piecing, you kind of get used to it and it's not that bad. The more you do it, the better you become, so the less frustrating it is and the more you enjoy it. Just like anything, I guess, right? Okay, move your hand back until the point is going to stop where your line stops. And there we go. There's our scarf. And I did cut in a little bit there, so I will probably use my micron pen. This will be a good example of this. Let me just hold this up so you can see it. So right there is where I'm going to put my micron pen. Of course, there's a shadow. I'm going to color that in. Just like that. So now you can't see it. All right. So let's see how Mr. Snowman is coming along so far. So this is going to be glued on top of here. And the heart's going to be glued on top of there. Looking cute. Now we have to cut out the gloves. So I'll do that and then I'll be right back, okay? Okay, so I've got all my pieces cut out. I cut out the mittens and I also cut out the star with the button as well. You can see there's a little rough part there, but we'll get to that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is ink the outsides of these before I put them on. And I do that before for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you get glue onto the outside of the paper pieced part and then you go to ink it, the ink doesn't stick. So you want to do the inking first. Also, it just adds a little bit more realistic shadows if you do them separately and then put them together. So I'll just show you quickly what I do. This again is Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo. I'm using a soft bristled brush. Just get a little ink on there. And lots of times I just do it on a paper towel. I started off the paper towel and then I go ahead and just swirl lightly on the edges. And I start off lightly. Sometimes I go back in and make it a little bit darker. But this is a snowman, so I don't want to make him too dirty looking. Just a little bit of distressing on the outside. So yeah, I'll do the other pieces a little bit darker, but for the snowman himself, just a little bit. And then if you want to do like there, where there would be like a real shadow, then I'll go in and do a little bit there as well. Just a little bit. This is going to be like a country prim snowman kind of guy, so it's okay if he's a little tan. All right, and we are going to be covering up this scarf. So I'm going to add some ink just around it so there's like a little bit of distressing underneath the scarf. You know what I mean? Not underneath, but right on the outside of the scarf. So when we put this scarf on top, you'll be able to see a little bit of shadow there on the edges. All right, let me just put a little bit more here. Again, the parts that you're covering up, doesn't matter if you get ink on them. Okay, so there's that. And I'm gonna do the scarf just a little bit around the edges, teeny little bit. It's pretty dark as it is, the pattern that I used, and there's a pattern on the stamp itself. So, you know, we're not going to go crazy, just to add a little bit of aging. So there's that. And the heart we're going to make a little bit darker because it's a nice dark red, so you need a little bit more pressure to be able to see it on this one. And you know what, you're not going to be able to see it much at all, but just a little bit. You might not know it's there, but it'll add a nice effect. Okay, so there's that one. Yeah, the star, we'll do a little bit. And then the gloves too. So I'm just going to add some ink on the cuffs, maybe more on the cuffs than the rest of it. And then just a little bit on the edges too. I'll show you that in a second, more close up. See, like that. Okay, so now we're going to start gluing the pieces on. And once that is done, I'll get out my alcohol markers and we'll color in the rest. All right, so you're going to use, or you're going to want to use a nice liquid glue for this, something with a fine tip. I use my old standby, my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. So we're going to start with, let's do the scarf. So just take the scarf, add some glue, whatever adhesive you'd like, but this is my favorite. And it'll look like that. And then, here, let me zoom in. Okay, so we're gonna place it right on top of the other scarf. And like I said before, these are nice bold lines on this stamp. So even if you're off a little bit, it won't matter. And it's hard to be off with these nice big lines. So there we go. Okay, next we'll do the heart because that's under the mittens. So take your glue again. Get a nice even coating, get to the edges. Okay, now we're going to put that right on top of the other heart. Like so. Looks like that. And we'll add the mittens on top of that. And also the nice thing about paper piecing like this is just the different layers add a little bit of texture, you know, a little bit of dimension, which is always nice. If you get a little glue oozing, you could just take it out, or, you know, this kind dries clear, so I'm not too worried about it. So there's that. And as you can see, I'm gonna go in with my micron marker and cover up that tan line because, yeah, that's bothering me. All right, and let's take the star with the button. Add some glue. And pop that into place. Okay, now let me show you what I'm talking about with the micron pen. Again, that looks like this. This one, you can buy these at Michael's or wherever. Okay, so let me hold it up so we can, oops, sorry, not my tripod. Hopefully you can see this while I'm doing it. And because it's a different layer than the heart underneath, it kind of stops by itself. It's like a natural border there. Say like that. Go do that here. And over here. Sorry, I gotta put it down, guys. Actually, I can't see it there. Okay. There. Chances are no one would notice that except for me, but you know, it's those little details that you want to fix so it's perfect. All right, that's good enough. So yeah, that's our pieced snowman. And I'm gonna go ahead and get out my alcohol markers and some stickles so we can finish him up. So I just grabbed this set. I got this at Tuesday morning last year, I believe. It's got an orange in it, so I thought that would be good for the nose. And yeah, maybe something else to cover up that larger button. So let me go ahead and zoom in again. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and color his nose in. It's kind of a brownish orange, which is fine for our country snowman. Use whatever kind of, you know, markers or pencils, whatever you like. If you're going to do like watercoloring, you want to make sure that you use a different ink for stamping though. Like Memento would not be good for watercoloring. So there's his nose, and then I'll make it a little bit darker underneath just to add a little shading. Just a little bit. Yeah, that looks kind of like a turnip instead of a carrot, but whatever, we'll go with that. All right, and then for the cheeks, maybe we'll add a little bit of a pinky color. Do we have anything here? These aren't really pinky colors. Let me look at my pen cup. I have this one that I had gotten at Michael's. Let me see what color this is. Let's see if that works. I think this is dried out. You know what? I think I left the cap off a little, but it'll be fine. It's kind of like a peach. Actually, that looks cute. I like that. He looks cute like that. And then we need a darker color for that button there and for this big button. So let's see what we have. We have fern green. That might be good. Now, it won't look green because it's on the burgundy paper, but let me find a little piece of a scrap. All right, my camera stopped recording while I was talking and doing stuff, so sorry about that, but I will just let you see what I did, and we're gonna let this snowman dry. I did add some darker green for the buttons here, and then I added stickles in diamond, which I like to use diamond stickles. I added that on this button. Sorry, not focusing there. And then that button as well. And then I added stickles on the cuffs of the mittens. Come on, let's focus here. And then on the top of the scarf, like snow was falling on it, and on that part of the scarf as well. And I added a little bit of pink alcohol marker and some stickles to the cheeks and to the top of the head. So is that focused? Now you can see him, right? Okay, so yeah, let me let him dry, and that's our completed paper piece snowman, but we're gonna put him together onto a card with another stamped image. Hi Gus, from the, from the stamp set. Gus is back. I'll be back when that's dry. All right, so it's been a few hours, so I figured I would come back on and show you the finished product. And in order to save time, I just did a few things off camera. This was a stamp from the same stamp set. If kisses were snowflakes, I'd send you a blizzard. So I stamped that onto a piece of tan paper, and I distressed it with that same vintage photo distressed oxide, and I used my tracing wheel to add a little bit of faux stitching along the edges. I used some papers from that same paper pack, and just I die cut this one with the penny black stamp or penny black die, and then the tree paper on the outside I just cut to size, and this is a little bit bigger than an A2 size card, but again, when you're making your own cards, you can make them whatever size you want, so that's what I did. And the snowflake stamps are also from the same stamp set, those two snowflake stamps. And I just kind of, sporadically put them around with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I added some diamond stickles as well. That part is still wet, so I haven't put that onto a card base, but this is a card front. And I hope you like it. I had so much fun paper piecing it, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. There's a little bit of double-sided tape sticking through that, so I'm going to trim that back a little bit because you can see it peeking out. But otherwise, this is done. So yeah, hope you like it. If you have any questions about paper piecing or fussy cutting, I would be happy to answer them if I can. And yeah, so I will be back soon with more crafty videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon with more crafty videos. Take care, everybody. Bye.